During this lesson, we are going to work on constructing circles and constructing something called concentric circles. To get started, a basic question that we're going to answer is what are constructions? So our whole first unit that we're going to be discussing deals with constructions. We had given you a compass and a straight edge, and using those two tools, we will be constructing different things. So for our purposes, constructions are done by using a compass and a straight edge. Some things that we might construct will be things such as a square, a triangle, a hexagon, parallel lines, perpendicular lines, so on and so forth. But in order to do anything, we first need to always remember to use our compass and our straight edge. Just so you get accustomed to it, when we work through Smartboard, we will be using the compass on here, which looks like this. So your compass looks obviously different because you have a tangible compass, but either way, we have the point of the compass, that needle right there, and then you have the pencil of the compass. We went over in class that you really don't want to go open and shut, and kind of really do this with the compass because you have a little screw right here, and that screw will become loose, and you will then get inaccurate arc marks. With that being said, if you haven't already done so, you may want to try to draw some circles with your compass before we actually get into doing the lesson and continuing forward. When you're working with the compass, you may find that the compass, the needle, this part of it, tends to slip or rip the paper. So to avoid any sort of rips or tears or holes, you just want to stack up the paper. Meaning, take a couple of sheets of any paper and put it underneath the sheet in which you would like to actually construct something on. This then allows the needle of the compass to kind of dig deep and not rip the paper. Another thing when you're working with it is you never want to hold your compass upright. You kind of want to lean it backwards, and you really want to practice using one hand. So right now, if you would just pause the video and practice making some arcs or full circles. And I'll make another circle here. And there we have it. And then I can make like a little arc here. Okay. And there we have it. So now we're going to get moving and look at the first aspect of constructions. And that's actually constructing a circle. So circles are huge in this unit. So we want to make sure we can properly construct a circle. So in order to construct a circle, one thing that you always need will be a center. So a center is a point, and that's where the needle of your compass will be. The center is going to be like a dot, and you always want to get in the habit of labeling your center. We like to always start with a center point because should you lose your place and should your compass move, if you have a center point, you could easily realign the needle of the compass to the point in which you were starting at. So again, this is one way, and this is the way that we're going to basically keep with. You always name your points with a capital letter. So it could be capital C for center, capital R, capital T, anything of that nature. So the first thing, you may want to pause this and work through 1 through 6. And then I'm going to actually work through 1 through 6 also. So if you'd like to pause it and try it, you could do that right now. Otherwise, if you want to work with me, I'm going to get started. So first step in this is we see here, we're going to actually make our compass the width of CP. But it's important because the needle of your compass must go on C because C is the center. So I'm going to take my compass. Here it is. Oops. And I'm going to drag my compass down here. I'm actually going to change the color. So just hold on one second. I think I'd like to make it red. Okay, so I'm going to put the needle on C, and I'm going to stretch my compass to point P. Now I hope that this stretches all the way. Oh good, it just makes it. Once I have it stretched, this is actually the radius of my circle from C to P. Now I have my needle on C, my pencil is on point P. So this needle is going to stay put, and you're just going to work to bring the pencil around to draw a circle. It may be easier to actually drag the paper and keep the compass steady. It's really up to you. So when you go ahead, you actually work to then make a very big circle. And there it is. So like we just had said before, the circle has a very specific width. The width of the circle, the radius width is CP. So right here we can just write in the term, this is the radius. And C was the center over here. So remember your center point, the needle didn't change, your pencil went out to point P, and you made a big circle. Okay. What we would like you to do is on the back or on another sheet of paper, kind of practice the same thing. So I'm going to add a sheet of paper, and I'm going to take my pen, I'm going to put a point, I'm going to label my point, my center, I'll label it maybe L. And now another way to make a circle is by simply just using the center point. So I'm going to take my compass, and for this I'm not going to actually pick the radius width. I'm just going to put my needle right on point L, the center, and I'm just going to open it up. And then I'm going to just swing myself a big circle. And here we go, just like that. One thing you don't want to do is from the get-go, you don't want to make the point in the middle too big. Because when you do that, if you actually take a look at the actual needle of my compass, it really has all these places anywhere inside of L. So you want to make sure you keep the center small. Don't make it too big, right? Just make it something that's like a placeholder, but nothing too large, because the bigger it is, the more room for error or inaccuracy you have in terms of where that needle will be placed. Okay, so here we have it. You could actually, off to the side, we're going to practice something else, which might be helpful for you if you just put a point. And I'm going to put my needle on that point, and I'm not going to make a circle, so I'm not going to label it. I'm going to make a part of a circle. That. And now a piece of a circle is actually called an arc. So when you do just a piece of a circle, it's called an arc. And we're going to be working a lot with arcs, so it is great to get in the habit of making smaller arcs, because we will need them. Your arc marks in this class is actually going to be your work. So you're going to need to have points and arcs, so on and so forth. Okay. So hopefully now you feel comfortable starting a circle by the center point, labeling that point, and then adjusting the compass to be the width of the radius, and then drawing a full circle. The next piece of this lesson is going to be constructing equally spaced concentric circles. So first and foremost, we have to deal with what does it mean for circles to be concentric, and then we'll deal with getting them equally spaced. So all it means is that circles are concentric when they have the same center. So if you look over here, there's 1, 2, 3 circles, and they all share the same center. The center is C. So they are concentric circles. These circles are equally spaced. However, concentric circles don't always have to be equally spaced. When they are equally spaced, they look like a target over here. If they're not equally spaced, then they just don't necessarily look like a perfect target. They just look like circles within circles, but they still share the same center point. So in order to do this, we're going to follow specific steps. And when working with this, we're going to use something called a ray. Okay. An array is actually just a part of a line. It's a piece of a line. So if you take a look over here, I have a ray starting at C and extending outward in one direction. That's a ray. We often use rays because we don't need an entire line for this construction. A line would extend infinitely in both directions, but we don't need that. So to start this, we're going to follow the directions below, 1 through 6. If you would like to try this on your own, go ahead and pause the lesson. And then when you're done, you can kind of listen to me walk through it, and then you can check your work. Or if you feel more comfortable, you can walk through this with me right now. So we're going to follow the directions below. We're going to use our straight edge. And when we say straight edge, we literally mean anything that has a straight edge. So this could be a folder, this could be the protractor that we gave you, this could be a ruler, this could be your phone, as long as it has a straight edge. We don't say ruler because often you think that a ruler is used to measure, which it is, but in our course, a ruler is just used to make straight lines. Okay, so we're going to use the straight edge to construct ray CD, starting at C and passing through D beyond the edge of the page. Okay, so here's C. I'm going to go through D. So I'm going to create a ray. Remember, it has an endpoint and then extends infinitely in one direction. So now this is a ray right here because it starts at C, our arrow at the end, that is a ray. All right, let's continue and see what we say. So we did step 1. Draw the circle with C as a center and it passes through D. So again, if C is the center, that's where the needle goes. D is where the pencil goes. So I'm going to take out my compass and I'm going to start and have this fun purpley color. I'm going to start at C, the center, and I'm going to open it to D. And I believe it said to draw the circle. Perfect. Okay. Keeping the radius CD. So that's very important, right? We're not changing the radius length. So keeping the radius CD. Draw a short arc with center D that crosses the ray on the right side of D. Okay. So the center is going to be D. All right, so that means I'm going to literally, at this point, what you're going to do is you're going to lift up your compass. You're not going to change the width of the compass. And you're just going to now put the needle at D and the pencils to the right of D. So you're going to swing a short arc, just enough so you can see where the intersection is. And then it says to label that point E. So I'm going to go back, and I'm now going to label this point here E. All right. Now, it's completely up to you, but I actually like to, at this part now, since I'm talking about a point, I'm going to just put a little point here. There we go. Just to show that I now have a point, E. All right. So we did step 3. Step 4. Looks like we're keeping the same radius width. So I'm not going to change the radius width. So keeping the radius the same. We're going to again draw a short arc, but now centered at E. I'm going to label that intersection point F. So again, I'm going to take my compass, leave it the same, go to E, needle on E, make sure that my compass swings an arc that crosses the ray. I'm going to label that now with a point. I don't know why this isn't changing. Here we go. Point, and I'm going to label that F. and bring that over here. Okay, so I have my center, the radius of that first circle, and then my first intersection, E, and then my second intersection, F. So the width between CD, DE, and EF is all equal. That's important. Okay, now we got to get our circles in because we're going to have 3 circles. We have our first circle. The next circle is going to start, let's see what it says. We're going to start with the center at C and have it pass through point E. So we're going to take our compass, center at C, and I'm going to align this so that it opens up to point E, as so. Ooh, let me get that a little bit more in the center. And you do the best you can. I'm having a little trouble getting it exact because of the calibration. Sometimes it gets a little funky. And I'm going to change the color now, and I'm just going to make it a different color so you can see the difference. Make it green. And I'm going to swing myself an arc. Big circle. There we go. All right, that's 5. So center C, went out to point E, swung a circle. Now I have to go center at C, passes through F. So open it up to F. All right, I'm going to change the color again so you can see. And I'm going to swing another circle. Bam. Excellent. And now we have 3 concentric circles. 1, 2, 3. And they all share center point C. So that's really what we were working on here. And I like this because this actually incorporates some arcs as well as circles, keeping the center the same, changing the width. So you have a small circle, and then it gets gradually bigger as you get out to F. And that's really what we have here. Okay. As we get further into the course, we will talk about the similarities and differences. For instance, I know that the radius of circle C that has the radius CF is 3 times as big as this radius CD. Those are the types of statements we're going to make as we work through the year. But for now, this is all we're looking for. Okay, so we're done with this. All right. Finally, this is what you're going to try right now. We're asking you, can you work to reconstruct this image? So we're not looking for 100% perfection. This is really just you working with the compass to try to manipulate it to get something that appears to look like this. Now it needs to have a circle, and it needs to have what looks like 6 petals within that circle. We want you to try this. We will go over this. What you're actually going to do now that you've finished and completed today's lesson is we're going to ask you to go to the next post where it says Lesson 1 Practice. And there are a couple questions, and we want you to try to answer those questions with your, obviously using your compass and your straight edge, or I think maybe you just need your compass. And then take a picture and submit it, because you can't do constructions on your Chromebook, right? You don't want to take that compass and put it to the screen. That's no good. We don't want to break our Chromebooks. So you're going to have to work with a separate sheet of paper, and you're going to practice those 3 questions. You're going to take a picture, and you're going to submit it. If you have any issues, we do ask that you reach out to us through the Google Classroom or email us, and we will get back to you as soon as possible and work to kind of figure out how we can get you to submit work or help you figure out wherever you're having trouble. Okay? Remember what we kind of went through today, talking about constructions. Really, we're working to use our compass and our straight edge for the next unit. We want to make sure when we do constructions, we have stacks of paper underneath our original so that we don't put holes in the paper. We could either make circles or arcs. What's important is that we always start with a center and name the center point if we're working with a circle. And then that an arc is just really a little piece of a circle. One new vocab term that we went over today is concentric, and that just means that circles that are concentric share the same center. And then we worked on making concentric circles as well as array. Here we have ray CF, which starts at C and extends infinitely in this direction over here. We hope that lesson 1 went well. Any feedback would be great. And again, reach out if you have any questions. Don't forget to submit the practice for lesson 1.